selection with yourself. Papa saw the Japanese and I'm about to me answer. It's a young toy Japanese now. You're about to pizza. Not as a open Amanana Sem. It's what we tell it, young Pama. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all things shall be added unto you. Don't be in haste, for you die as with. Whatever that you face, which is a mountain, shall take dimensions. Any trials you shall triumph. Expectation will tend to be manifestation. Whatever you desire, you deserve it in the name of Jesus. Do you know things that one year see about today? About today, and yet, if you say, we'll see about today, we can't touch your soul. Automatically, you very well. Granted, I must say, the better was done, and to me, I'm putting in my left time, and to do so. Ya won ya me bi wo ho e da ba ko kan no di ejuma e ye e da besia da e ti ya fra no say abesidai ya won ya me bi so e wo ho e da ba ko kan no so di ejuma e ye da ko da e ti ya fra no say kuku da be ku na mo me pese me bi sa wa sem bi say e da me chema o ni tu me bi ma na yes, you Abraham young Kuponia, and you are there, or you know me. Abraham there, or you know me. Who got us so far, or you know me. I was only the one with your words here, and you will go down pen and wait to hear you. So, go tell the Yamagas off. Now, see, you know me, I just saw a pump of Abraham to me about the Fatalo, and I said, Genesis, in the beginning, Moses sat down in Genesis, so he wanted to know the past. No person who said in the Boriase, and she'll be saying, I could consider your Boriase. No, I could point free one cancer. And Moses catching Yakuba said, I want to see you, God. But on Yakuba, whenever God is coming, he can never come with a presence. His whole presence, you can never look at him or brighten, revelations or brighten or strength to be a dream. So this is the only thing that God did. On the minute in Sakata Moses is so. The Bible saw that in Sakata Moses couldn't see his face, but he saw the back of God. And even seeing the back, he was able to write the past, the back. But when we come to John, John is a disciple unto Jesus, and Jesus Christ came as a human being. So he didn't see Jesus back open. So he was able to write the future, which is Revelation. To it. John the sea, we will so big and the man that I saw, he was bright and he is holding a book in his hand. What is the book? The book is the certificate for you and I, so that we will qualify to become Christians. Because the Bible says Jesus Christ came for the people of Israel, but not only the people of Israel, but for the Gentiles, all of us. His blood is there for all of us. So how can somebody go to this great man and collect the certificate? Now why not the bit John the sea. What's his all over can say? I will soar with you above the storm. Father, you are king over the flood. I will be still, know you are God. Oh, you can do it better for Jesus. You can do it for Jesus. Amen. Amen. In him I live and move and have my being. Excitement without expression will end up in depression. So whenever you are excited before the Lord,
it's a greater idea. You want to live here to behold you as my King, Lord. If I find favor in your sight, Lord, please hear my Lord cry. I'm desperately waiting to be where you are. I've crossed the hardest desert. I've traveled near or far for your glory. I would do anything just to see you, to behold you as my King, for your glory. I would do anything just to see you, to behold you as my King in your presence. That's where I always want to be. I just want to be. I'm full of praise, I'm full of praise.
That was too exhaustively dealt with yesterday.
Strength, our strength, our strength. Hands together to God. Oh, you can do that better. You can do that better. You may take your seats. As I said earlier, yesterday was powerful, and today is going to be awesome. We thank the Lord for yet another time like this. For those who were not here yesterday, you are welcome once again to Power Zone Fellowship. Our head pastor is Prophet Michael Ando, and today is the second day of the 3 days master class on leadership. We bless the Lord for this moment, and we know that today you will be blessed. Get your pens and your books ready as we set the ball rolling. At this time, we want to welcome Prophet Michael Ando to introduce the guest.
Oh, can you do it better? Can you do it better? Wow. Wow. God bless you for coming. Stand, headmaster. I beg you, that's not your seat. Please, can you come forward for me? I beg you. I beg you. Oh, can you appreciate the servant? Can you appreciate the big man himself? God bless you, sir. There's another one. Wow, please can all the headmasters come forward for me? Wow. 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 God bless you. Tonight we are honored to have great men of God in our midst. And we are privileged to have Reverend Amuzu with us. Can you appreciate Reverend Amuzu? Oh, can you appreciate Reverend Amuzu? We are also privileged to have the headmaster of WAS in our midst, Mr. Ofori Entry. Can you appreciate the headmaster? Can you appreciate the assistant as well? Wow. And today, Minister Antonio himself is here. It has been a blessing already. Once again, sir, Antonio, God bless you. We are behind time 1 minute. Precious one, my father, your teacher, your professor is already here. How many of you were here yesterday? Oh, how many of you were here? So 90% of you were here yesterday. Were you blessed? Were you blessed? Are you ready for a mind-blowing testimony today? Are you sure? Precious one, we are behind time. Without wasting my time with a clap of you, with a shout, Let's invite Dr. Jeff Bassey. Oh, can you do it better for my own father? Can you do it better for my own father? Dr. Jeff Bassey. Can you do it better for him?
Praise the Lord. Thank you for coming. If you are here with us this evening for the first time, I did apologize for my bad voice yesterday, recovering from cold. Same cold is still there today, but I trust that we can share something to be of benefit to all of us. So we're supposed to be having a 3-day engagement on the subject of leadership. And yesterday I went quite soft because I thought that the question of one knowing where he is going was more important a question to answer before thinking about leading others elsewhere. Much as I do not think that that was too exhaustively dealt with yesterday, I felt that at least I had whet your appetite into a realization that leadership starts from self and not always occupying a position and pointing the way to another person. Today, however, I will start that journey of providing leadership to other people to follow. And depending on the quality of your leadership or otherwise, people could get to their destination. They may also not get to the destination because they have made a mistake of accepting you as their leader. One of the most favorite statements I make in leadership is the fact that if something good happens, it's because of leadership. If nothing good happens, it's because of leadership. In an organization, in an establishment, in a department, in a unit, in a team, in a church, at a family level, name it. If something good happens, it's because of leadership. If nothing good happens, it's because of leadership. That means that leadership or leaders can never be insulated from responsibility. And that they will be the cause and everything else will be but an effect in response to that cause. And so that is why I thought that updating my notes on leading self before thinking about leading others is important to me these days. And I've scratched a bit of that yesterday. We don't have all day. On a very good day, I need a complete 1 week. Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. to deliver a lecture on leadership. Now, we tried to do a summarized work yesterday. Today, too, I will try to do that. I see a lot of leaders in this room, religious leaders, leaders here. Even the young ones who are not yet, quote unquote, occupying positions of leadership yet, I believe are growing into leadership. And so some of these lessons will be critical to our way getting there. I asked a question. Do you believe all position occupants are leaders? Once we name you a senior pastor, a youth leader in a church, marketing manager in this organization, the head of the family, do you believe that once somebody gets the opportunity to occupy a position of influence that others respond to your directions and casting of visions will automatically qualify you a leader? I'm not in the classroom, so let me not waste your time. The answer is no. In a typical MBA class, I will ask everybody to respond and to give me your reasons why you think that everybody who is named a manager by the company, oh, this is our director of operations. Is that enough reason to conclude that he is and can exhibit leadership? If not all position occupants are leaders, then it stands to reason to ask, what is it that makes one position occupant a leader and does not make the other a leader? What is the difference between them? Several of them. I'll give you just a few. Number one is that whereas management or position occupants work within a system, leaders work on the system. Position occupants work within systems. This is what our system says. This is our processes. This is our processes. This is what the structure says. Position occupants, managers, supervisors just follow through. But leaders say, wait, is that the best system we should be working with? What can we do about this system? How do we alter this system to ensure that we maximize results? That is a fundamental difference between a leader and a manager or a position occupant. I'm tempted to think that position occupants are but people who can be likened to thermometers. You know what a thermometer does? It measures the temperature and gives a report. 36 degrees Celsius, finish. Be likened to thermostats. It regulates the temperature of the environment. I want you to start weighing yourself which of them you are. Because in our part of the world, it is very easy for people to mistake themselves for leaders simply because they have titles. I have come across several definitions for leadership in my research work. I want to tell you my definition for leadership. Indeed, I've come across 356 definitions on the subject of leadership. And I know there are still more definitions I'm yet to discover. But if the 356 were the only definitions, then mine would qualify to be the 357th. It's a definition I have believed in, I have taught to managers, I've taught to church leaders almost all the time. It occurs amongst people. The people that a leadership occurs among desire significant changes inspired by shared vision. Leadership involves influence. It occurs amongst people. The people that it occurs among desire significant changes inspired by shared vision. Now, if you took a close look at the definition I just gave, there are 4 key words that stand out in that definition. The fact that leadership involves influence means it's not coercion. Causing people to willingly do what hitherto they will not do, except you are their leader. And I'd like you to know that you are more influential as a leader than you think. Now, I want everybody to look at me closely. Everybody. I want you all to scratch your chin. Everybody here, scratch your chin. Good. Thank you. So, as intellectuals and educated people as we are, we know this is chin. But the one who gave the instruction, myself, was scratching my cheek. So you forgot what your chin was and you were scratching your chin. I just influenced you. I saw some people attempting to go to the chin, but the leader was scratching cheek, so they came back to cheek. But I was clear. I mentioned it 3 times. Scratch your chin. Anytime the leader's actions come in conflict with his words, the followers are compelled to choose the action and not the words. So much so that when I gave you the instruction to scratch your chin and I was scratching my cheek and you were looking at me, you were not even confused. You were not thinking through which one is right or wrong. What is the leader doing? Influential. That was all what occupied your mind. What if I told you that in giving you the instruction to scratch your chin, my cheek was actually itching? That's why I was scratching it. You know what that means? It means that as a leader, you don't live for yourself. You live for the people who look up to you. Because that's my action. Comforting me of scratching my cheek was enough to mislead all of you here in getting you to scratch your cheek. And I got you to do the wrong thing. Influence. Somebody asked me the last time, who are some of the greatest leaders you would mention in our world? I heard you are a leadership expert. Can you tell us people you would consider as great leaders? I mentioned a few names that shocked him. Number 1, Osama bin Laden. Great leader our world has seen. Very influential. Now, for somebody to influence you to the extent of accepting to go and blow yourself up and kill yourself, that is leadership. The fact that he directed his leadership into the negative is not enough reason to conclude he wasn't a leader. Adolf Hitler led multitudes of people to hell because he persuaded and convinced them, he influenced them into believing, into seeing things his way, that there was no God. Leadership starts from influence, getting people to willingly do. So what does the leader do or what do? It's a huge question I will answer tomorrow. Yesterday I did mention that the moment leaders start suffering integrity problems, followers automatically start suffering commitment problems. Think about it. Back to the definition. Leadership involves influence. It occurs amongst people. The second key word in my definition is people. Leadership occurs amongst people. Folks, there's a vast difference between leading animals and leading human beings. When you are leading animals to graze and they are going astray, you use your stick, the shepherd boy, to hit one. And chances are all the cattle will come in line. But human beings, when you hit one person, the rest will scatter them all. The reasons are that, one, every human being has a mind of his own and thinks for himself. So I remind leaders that Your occupancy of a position for others to look up to you is a privilege. It's not a right. There is nobody seated in this room right now who is here on the orders of a high court. You are ordered to attend a 3-day master class by Michael Andor Ministries, and if you do not go, it will be contemptuous and you will be sentenced to jail. Who here is here on the orders of a high court? You chose to come here by yourself. Human beings have minds of their own. They make their own choices. And if you have the privilege to be his leader, you have to make sense to him. So one, they have minds of their own. They think for themselves. Two, they make their own choices. The third one is that a human mind is highly erratic. Not to remind anybody of any bad experience here, but you have a young man and a young woman appear before a man of God. Do you want to take so and so as your lovely husband? It's a man of God. I do, sir. Do you want to take her as your, say, I do. That's why we are here. 4 months into the marriage, the man say, I don't do anymore. The woman said, where was I looking when I accepted your proposal? Listen, they didn't get into that marriage by stroke of luck or by accident. They courted, they sought counseling, they prayed and actually believed that God has sanctioned the marriage. Few months into the marriage, what happened? I thought you said you loved me. Yes, I thought you were like this. The human mind is erratic. Leadership involves influence. It occurs amongst people. The third key word in that definition I gave is that there is no group of people who wish to remain stagnant. Every group of human beings want to move forward. Congregation in church want to, who call themselves the leaders, aware. Workers in the company want better working conditions, higher salary and benefits. Are the managers who are the leaders aware? Citizens of a country want better, reliable educational and health systems, and if you like, free education, and name it. Are the politicians who call themselves leaders aware? People want to move forward. And it will take a leader, and that's the last bit of the definition, who casts vision, who creates destinations, who paint pictures on their minds and say, though you are not there yet, if you follow my leadership, this is where I would send you to. Are the ones who qualify to be called leaders. Leadership involves influence. It occurs amongst people. The people desire significant changes inspired by shared vision. Influence, change, people, and vision. Key hallmarks of leadership. And on a very good day, we can spend some 4 hours on each of these key hallmarks I choose to call the pillars of leadership. I wish to deal with a few things in the minds of people who are leaders or who wish to be leaders. I choose to call them the leadership myths. The word myth, M-Y-T-H, it's like a fallacy. Something that everybody had mistaken to be the truth, whereas it's not the truth. Myth. These myths have stayed with us for years. Make people to think they are leaders simply because they have titles, meant you as a leader, but they may not be leadership in themselves. 5 of them. Number 1, position myth. I occupy the position, therefore I am the leader. Wrong. I had a call from one of my MBA graduates sometime last year. Good evening, Dr. Bassey. I called to say thank you to you for what you have done for me, the contribution you also made to who I am today. I've been made a leader in my company last week. And I'm like, congratulations. But how do you mean when you say you have been made a leader? Listen to his answer. Well, I was made head of department. I'm like I mentioned, congratulations, but if I could make a little correction. You have been offered a leadership role. You are yet to prove whether you are a leader or not. I don't know why people mistake occupancy of position to be a leader. This is what a position does to you. And I'm not here to demonize occupancy of the position or any of the other 4 things I would mention. I'm not here to bastardize or demonize them. No. They augment you, but they should not be mistaken for the leader. Position 1 gives you, as position gives you authority to take decisions on behalf of others. But whether those decisions will be right or wrong is another ballgame. Position gives you opportunity to direct the actions and inactions of others. Position offers you the right to apply resources on their behalf. But in itself should not be mistaken for leadership. I occupy the position, therefore I am the leader. Wrong. So we have fathers at home who are supposed to be God's own ordained leader of the family, but are nowhere close to leadership. We have position occupants in our various offices who have been appointed because they have pulled together one degree or another, or have spent some years in the organization and have moved to those positions, and people have to take directions from them, but they may be nowhere close to leadership. So even in the house of God, we might have people who have gone to Bible college and graduated. We pour oil on their head and anoint them and put them in charge of the church. But are they leaders or not? Position myth. The next myth in leadership is the manager myth. Call it administrator myth. You can administer well. Nothing goes unnoticed. Very effective. Great qualification with certificates. As a matter of fact, you are that good a manager that sometimes your presence intimidates people. When people see you coming, they run helter-skelter. You probably are just an intimidating manager and not a leader yet. I was watching a cartoon on leadership the last time. And this gentleman was seated in his office, threw his legs on the table, and the boss opened the door. And the boss was like, "Why are you not working?" And he's like, "Sorry, sir, I didn't know you were coming." Hello. That's an intimidating manager. People work when you are present. And in your absence, nothing inspires them because we have shared no vision. Being a good administrator adds on to you as a leader. No two ways. But should not be mistaken for leadership. The third myth of leadership is the personality myth. I am thick, tall, handsome, extroverted. My personality commands respect and authority. So sometimes some of those people are mistaken for leaders. In the baby boom generation, when I say baby boom generation, I mean those born right after the Second World War. A lot of people were killed, and so people were encouraged to give birth to more children to replenish the earth. And so those born around that time, we call them the baby boom generation. They liken leadership to physical traits. You must be vociferous, you must be thick, tall, energetic, you must look good, charismatic. That's on to you. When a leader have a personality, you dress properly, that commands respect. I was training in a company the last time, line managers training, and they had a new head of department. One of the trainees was like, "Sir, we just have a new manager. And if you look at even the suit of the gentleman, you know, like, how long has he been here?" I said, 2 months. Say, "Hey, let's wait and see whether he's a leader or not." Because there are things, clear things, as yardstick with which we measure whether people are leaders or not. And tomorrow I'll go into those areas clearly. And all of us here, nobody will answer to you. You will tell yourself whether I'm a leader or not. The fourth myth of leadership is the speaker myth. I'm a prolific speaker. I can talk well. To persuade people, to ginger people, to make people feel good. Therefore, I should be the leader. In the interview hall, we call something pure. Pure is our own created acronym, P-U-R-E. That stands for Previously Undetected Recruitment Error. Sometimes people come to the interview hall to talk, and they run their mouth. They answer all the questions and all of that. And we come to a very firm conclusion that this one is the best person for the job. 6 months on the job, we start wondering, how did we get him onto this job? He had mastered communication skills. How to talk well to make people feel good. But he's not a doer. It is called the speaker myth. The last myth of the 5 I wish to talk about this evening is what I call, it's a very dangerous myth, the knowledge myth. The knowledge myth. I am the subject matter expert, therefore should be made the leader. So that if we're discussing a finance department and you were a chartered accountant and you were holding an MBA, then nobody else could make a better head of or director of finance than you. If we're talking about the position of the senior pastor and he had a PhD in theology, then nobody can make a better leader than himself. It's a myth in leadership. Again, in the baby boomers generation, if we're looking for the chairman of the Young Farmers Association, we would go inspect everybody's yam farm. And naturally, by default, the biggest yam farmer, the one whose yam farm is the biggest, should become the chairman. Why? He knows well about yam farming. He has the muscles to weed and expand his yam farm. But is the Young Farmers Association just about yam farming? No. The association is formed to achieve certain objectives. They will meet government to negotiate. They will need to inspire them. So that gentleman who have the technical know-how on how to weed and expand his yam farm, but cannot provide the strategic direction, cannot cast vision, cannot inspire a group of people and focus their attention on the accomplishment of shared objectives and vision, don't get him close to leadership. Because technical knowledge is not tantamount to leadership knowledge. It is great to occupy the position because it gives you access to leadership, but don't mistake it for leader itself. It is good to be an organized administrator. It's brilliant to have a great personality, to speak well, and to have great knowledge of the area you are providing leadership in. All of these augment you and add on to you as the leader, but in themselves will not be leadership. The obvious question will then arise. If the things you have talked about are not leadership, then what is leadership? Is that question on your mind? If occupying the position is not leadership, if being a good administrator is not leadership, if having a great personality is not leadership, if communicating well is not leadership, if having the knowledge is not all about leadership, then what is leadership? What do people exhibit for us to say that two of them are managers, they occupy the same position, two of them have the same or similar title, two of them have been given the same resources, but this one is a leader, the other one is not? What flair does one show for us to say this one is a leader, the other is not? Number one, leadership starts from casting and inspiring shared vision. So yesterday we spent a bit of time discussing some qualities of the vision. So today I'm not talking about you having the vision. I'm talking about you inspiring others with the vision. What is vision? Capturing the future, registering it on your mind, and using it to drive the present day's actions. By having to provide leadership to others, it is not enough to register it on your mind in driving the present day's actions, but in inspiring others to see things through your eye. So one day, Apple started by one person, Steve Jobs. And somehow we don't even see him around today. He's late. What he saw, probably at the same time he saw it, the thousands of his staff did not see it. But as a leadership mark, he had a responsibility to get them to see the destination they ought to be getting to, though he probably would not get there with them. Leadership starts from inspiring shared vision. I'm tired of going to train in organizations. You walk through the reception of the organization and see the vision and mission statement of the company written and hung on the wall of the reception. When you get into the training room to train the managers and you ask them, what is your vision? They look for documents to refer. Our vision, give me a moment, sir. How long have you been working here? 8 years. Wow. I'm looking for your vision statement to tell me. And too many a time when I talk to junior staff about vision and they cannot state it, I do not blame them. But I blame their position occupants who mistake themselves and are not aware where they are taking them to. Leadership starts from casting and inspiring shared vision. Getting everybody aligned and understand where we are going as an organization. Some of these are the reasons we get the wrong people into organizations some of the time. Whether it is a school or a church or a business venture. Because the leader himself is not clear enough of the vision, have not expounded the vision enough. And so when somebody is sitting in front of you in the name of you engaging you or you engaging him as to recruiting or getting him into work, you have no idea whether that person's ideology are in alignment to where you want to go. It is a problem of government, of great organizations, of great religious bodies. Leadership starts when we cast and share vision. Casting and sharing vision also includes inspiring everybody else to believe in it. One of the banks invited me to speak to their sales officers. About 400 of them were drawn all over the country to the national headquarters. And I was supposed to go to inspire them. And this is how the sales director introduced me. He took the microphone and in front of his salespeople, hello, good morning. I don't know why people are not opening accounts. Sales is weak. Anyway, we brought a consultant to speak to you. When I finished training, I went to his office to give him a little correction. But hey, inspiring shared vision is not just like that. Am I asking you to conceal the truth from them? No. But leadership is deliberate and intentional. Hello, good morning, folks. Account is weak, sales is not running. But all we need to do is to change a few strategies. And because of that, we brought a consultant to speak to you. What is the difference between these two inspirational statements, or these two statements? The first one communicates pessimism, hopelessness. We are confused. We don't know what we are about. We might collapse tomorrow. If you had a new job, you can go. That's what you just told them. The second one said, there is a problem, but we are in control. We are doing something about the situation. Have confidence in us. Leadership is about inspiring shared vision. It is not all the time everybody will see what you see. And that is why it's important to inspire. The second quality of the leader, I can't do all this evening. I'll do just a few of them and do the rest tomorrow. The second quality of the leader is enforcing synchronized thinking. Enforcing synchronized thinking. Getting everybody to think in alignment to where we all want to go. When President Nixon, he was the then president when America was preparing the first astronauts to go to the moon. When President Nixon got to the secretariat that was preparing the astronauts to go to the moon, he met a cleaner, somebody who was mopping the floor. And the president greeted him. Good morning. What do you do here? What should be the obvious answer? I clean. The gentleman answered. What do you do here? Mr. President, I'm helping to put a man on the moon. That is an example of a leadership environment where everybody is made to think the objective, the goal. And that way, it provides strategic meaning to everybody's work. Otherwise, people come to work and go. In our part of the world, people come to work at 8 and close at 5 and expect a paycheck at the end of 30 days without exactly understanding where the organization is going. Yet leaders exist in those environments. It could be ministries. The fact that somebody is occupying the seat as a minister is not enough to conclude he is the leader of that ministry. We may have somebody else casting the vision and providing strategic direction as a better leader than the position occupants. Enforcing synchronized thinking. Getting everybody in alignment. And when the leader himself is not sure of doing this, he starts disrespecting people in the organization. Oh, he's just a receptionist. This one is just our driver. Listen to me. Running an organization with department and people, it's like everybody represents but one tie under the car. 4 ties under your vehicle. One is flat, one is punctured. Why don't you keep driving? Why do you stop and fix it before the journey continues? Because everybody's role is critical to where we are going. And it's important the leader understands this. And it's important the leader makes everybody else aware and to feel important. Go to the banks and get the chief executive officer, the managing director, to come down into the box as a teller and pay. Nobody will get money that day because he will not know how to go about it. And when people don't get their money simply because of administrative procedures, somebody doesn't know how to do it, they make noise. They can hit the media, and that could be the end of your bank. The simple work of a bank teller, not less important compared to the CEO. Synchronized thinking. The story is told of this professor who was sailing with a fisher boy. As they were sailing, the professor would ask the fisher boy, "Boy, do you know psychology?" The boy said, "No." "Sociology?" "No." "Dondology?" "No." "Archaeology?" "No." So the professor was like, "So what I thought you know? You don't know anything." They were sailing until the wind started blowing. And the boy will ask, "Prof, do you know swimmingology?" Prof said, "No." So okay, that means today, crocodiology will eat your headiology. And you will die with your knowledgeology. I think everything is about psychology and archaeology and sociology. Everybody's role is important. Otherwise, why did you create a portfolio? The one who does and cleans this chair before we sit to listen to the lecture is critical. Otherwise, why did you appoint him? Enforcing synchronized thinking. The third quality of leadership is challenging the status quo and improving the processes. Challenging the processes. The only way you can affect the destination is when you change the route. The Chinese have one proverb they don't play with. They say doing the same thing the same way, expecting different results is insanity. Doing it the same way, yet you expect that the result will look different, you are a madman. Because change is a necessary prerequisite for growth. I dare say the essence of leadership is change and growth. If nothing is changing, if nothing is developing, if nothing is improving, if nothing is becoming better, leadership becomes a waste of everybody's time. Can you imagine a sitting president come before us in 2016 and would say, vote for me and the NPP party, and when we win power, we will do everything as His Excellency John Mahama and the NDC. Whether good or bad, we will maintain. If nothing will look different when you come, why should we remove them? And the essence of leadership is change. And if nothing changes and nothing improves and nothing develops, leadership becomes a waste of everybody's time. I went to train again in one other organization. That company deals in beverages. They sell drink. And the sales manager was telling me, before I came here, we're selling about 120,000 crates within this vicinity every day. And when I came, I made sure we maintained it. And I'm like, that makes you a great manager, but not a leader. Because if it is leadership, you must break the status quo and improve. Leadership is about challenging the status quo, improving the processes, asking why it can be done better, altering the moves, and finding out how we can improve on results. The moment everybody is satisfied with the results, we do nothing about the situation, and therefore there is no leadership. Leadership starts when we disagree with the results, that puts into place new thought processes, challenging the status quo, and finding out new ways of delivering performance. My last but one point this evening is that leadership is about taking initiatives and applying personal attitude. Taking initiatives and applying personal attitude. What is attitude? I'm not referring to how somebody frowns or carries his body around, no. I'm talking about the occurrences and reactions to events. Things that happen, not as important as how we choose to respond to what happens. And if you're a leader and want to exhibit initiative and attitude, you must bear a few attributes. Number one, you must always focus on exhausting all your options at getting results, not some options. We're conducting an interview looking for a procurement manager some time ago. And that was a structured interview, meaning that almost everybody was asked the same or similar question. Now, this person came in with a relatively higher qualification, a master's degree in purchasing and supply. And we will throw the question or pose the question at you. If by convention of this organization, we usually will order the raw materials over the phone, you know what procurement guys do? They buy stuff for the company. If by convention, we usually order raw materials over the phone, and this time around, you take the phone to call the supplier, and the supplier's phone is turned off, what would you do? And then he tells us, well, since the tradition is to call over the phone, if I call and the phone is off, I will wait and call the following day. You say, okay, go home with your certificates. And a relatively lower qualified person would come in, and you pose the same question at him. And then he goes like, if I call and the phone is turned off, I'll fax him. You say, no, the fax machine is broken down. What would you do? He said, I'll send an email. You say, no, internet is down. What would you do? He said, I'll get out and go there. We say, no, all company vehicles are on field and are working. What would you do? He said, I would stop the next available taxi. Do you know what he's telling us? I will exhaust all my options to get you results. Leaders exhaust all options. The next attribute of a leader, that is a leader who applies attitude, is a person who focuses on his reactions rather than occurrences. Some time ago, we advertised a seminar, a one-day seminar to be held on a Saturday. That was a seminar that people had called in advance to register with their names and phone contacts, but would pay on the fateful day of the program. On that very day, rain started falling. And once rain started falling, my staff concluded the seminar would not hold. I was guying at home as the speaker. The seminar was to start at 9. I thought if I should get there even 8:40, fine. They were supposed to be on the ground by 7:30. I got there and I asked why. So the rain. And I asked, do we control the weather? He said no. Do we decide whether it rains or not? No. Did you say people had registered in advance and you have their phone contact? Say yes. Take the phone. Start calling and texting them that in spite of the rain, the seminar will still run. The attention is to what can we do in spite and not the rain. Let's assume that we were expecting 100 people at that seminar. We did not record all. We had about 70 people. But I wanted to prove to them what leadership could do. So I brought some of the staff forward. And I asked the audience, how many of you would not have been here today because of the rain, but for the text message you received from us, stating that in spite of the rain, the seminar will run? More than half raised their hand. And I said, can you people see? Leadership is not about occurrence. It's about how you respond to what is happening. So people give complaints. Yeah, I was born into a poor home, and I am like this, and I am like that. You think you are the only one who was born into a poor home? No. A lot of people. No money, no education, no exposure. And they went ahead and went against all the odds to become successful. I quite remember how a GHS teacher told me in Tema, I was too block-headed to go to Pope Jones Secondary School. He went to Pope Jones Secondary School. I told you yesterday I was born in the village. I joined my colleagues in the city later on. He told me I was too block-headed to go to Pope Jones. We were two that went to him. He allowed the other gentleman. So I went to Ghana Secondary School, very close to Pope Jones. As far as I'm concerned, that's a consolation. If you won't go to Pope Jones, be close to Pope Jones. Why would I depend on teachers every step of the way? Because your own parents did not have education to show you. The secondary school teachers, I even have my headmasters here, taught me science in JHS or GSS then. I entered a classroom, the university classroom, to lecture auditing one day. And I saw a gentleman at the front. He was the first to notice me. Jeff, how are you? It's been a long time. Are you also here to study accounting? The way I answered with swag. I said, no, I'm an accounting lecturer. You know the person I'm referring to? The GHS teacher who told me I was too blockheaded to go to Pope Jones. So in JHS, he was my science teacher. In the university, he was my accounting student. And I was humorously telling him, here, we are not learning osmosis and diffusion. If you don't understand these basic accounting principles, the knock I'll deliver on your head here. That is not enough reason to disrespect him. I don't know where else I would also meet him as my supervisor one day. What I want to say is that tomorrow I'm going to talk about standards. Not mistaking mediocrity for excellence. The last quality of the leader I wish to speak about this evening, and I'll hand over the microphone, is that leaders show confidence. Leaders have passion and they show confidence. I didn't say they have confidence, they show. Whether you have or not, it is important for every leader to show confidence, even if you have to fake it from the beginning. The reason is that followers look up to leaders. Do you know that followers believe that leaders have solution to every problem? Between you and I as leader. Do you? No. Sometimes you walk out of the meeting with headache, wondering how you are going to solve this problem. But your followers believe, oh, boss is there. The opposition occupant is there. He will resolve it. But why is it important for us to show confidence? Because they look up to us. And when you exhibit fear, you even have the stamina that you have. I usually say this. I used to be quite afraid of air travel. When I say it at places, I get people agreeing with me that they also fear air travel. I used to fear air travel a lot. So much so that anytime I was on the air flight, I never slept until we got to our destination. Do I have partners here? Thank you. But of course, my work requires that I do. In any case, confidence is not the absence of fear. It's confronting fear. Courage is not the absence of fear. If I ask any of you at 2 a.m. hot afternoon to go to Awudobe Cemetery, each of you here can go. There is nothing to be afraid of, and so you are not courageous. Go at 2 a.m. No light, darkness. When there's all manner of strange sound. Now I would say you are a courageous person. There's a reason to be afraid, but you still do it. So one day I was on the flight at Kotoka International Airport when this young lady entered the cabin, the aircraft, holding her ticket, looking for her seat. 41C, 41C, and I was at 41B. So she was by me. So I pointed the seat to her and she sat down. Good evening, sir. I hear when the flight is zooming into the air. I'm like, oh, okay, so this is your first time. In my mind, immediately I needed to occupy the position of the leader. I am her leader. Because she's looking up to. And who's the leadership is about occupying position. The taxi driver that carries you is your leader at that time you're on the road. Through his decision and indecisions, you can end your life. So I became her leader. Asked me all manner of questions. I told her, oh, it's normal, you know. So we're flying. Obviously, being her first time, she wasn't ready to sleep. Me, I don't originally sleep on the flight. We're flying until we got to very bad weather. Ping pong, ladies and gentlemen, we're having challenges with the weather. I stretched my neck. She observed it. And she asked, are you afraid? I said, no. How can I be afraid? I'm not afraid. It's normal, you know. In any case, in about 32 minutes time, we should be landing. You know, an afraid man always knows the distance covered and what is left. All the time. But when I told her that there was nothing precarious, there was no untoward situation, and that it was a normal thing, I could see her with a huge sigh of relief. Was I the one flying the plane? but she had put her confidence in me, accepted me as her leader. I had run my mouth with her at Kotoka even before we got there. And if I had told her, hey, it looks like the situation is bad, she would just urinate on herself. Irrespective of whether I was flying the plane or not, she accepted me as her leader, and I had a responsibility to act confident. I had fears when the announcement came. I told her there was no problem, and I continued praying in. I think leadership is a joke. We will look up to you to provide leadership. Can you imagine an army on a war front? And as they're going through the forest led by a major or a captain, they hear gunshot. Boom, boom. The major, who is the leader, say, hey, what's that? What happens to the soldiers? In different directions they will head. As opposed to Army B, boom, boom. Major says, hold it. It looks like the enemy is approaching and we have to take stage. Even the soldiers who would urinate on themselves will still stand at one place. The leader says, you think they don't fear soldiers? One of the African countries have sacked 200 of them for refusing to go meet some opposition enemies. They fear too. They have fear. But they act. That is courage. Leaders have responsibility to act confident whether they are or not, because it's important to keep the group together. When the leader exhibits fear, you disbandle the team and people wander and go different directions. And chances are it's not always rosy. The leader doesn't always see the end, the result, with certainty in his heart. But these are but some of the qualities that a leader ought to be exhibiting all the time as he shows leadership, and we move on. I thank you for your audience. I'll continue tomorrow.
Oh, can you appreciate Doctor? Can you appreciate him? Oh, can you do it better? Wow. Are you blessed tonight? We take 2 minutes of questions. If you have questions to ask Doctor, just 2 minutes. Any question? Do you have questions from the online? Do you have questions from online? 2 minutes. Doc is asking for questions. There's more time. You're supposed to close 9. It's still 8:30. So there's time. Can we go to the online people if there's no question? Apostle Solomon, let's quickly go to the online if there are questions from online. Whilst you're waiting for questions from online, we call upon Minister Mike Antonio to give us a song. Let's appreciate Minister Mike Antonio. Oh, can you do it better for the Minister of God?
Amen. Amen. Draw me close to you. Never let me go. I lay it all down again. know you are near. Yes, you are. You're all I want. You're all I have ever needed. You're all I want. Help me know you. Help me know you are needed. Help me know you are need. Help me know you are need.
Oh, can we appreciate Minister Mike Antonio? Can you do it better for him? Wow. Wow. Pastor Solomon, is there a question? Doc, I wanted to ask you a question. I've been thinking about this. What caused leaders to fail? What caused leaders to fail? That's a question I want to ask Doc. What caused leaders to fail? Yes, sir. What caused leaders to fail?
That's a rather generic question. A lot of things, from failing to lead oneself, in my opinion, to lack of adherence to a lot of these principles we are discussing. But in recent time, can we go off air for a moment? Good.
Some leaders become autocratic to the extent that whatever they say.
When these leaders fail, what becomes of their followers?
This is my boss himself.
Thank you very much. Leaders can fail when they refuse to share their core vision. They can fail miserably when they refuse to share their core vision, because they have followers. So once you have a vision, you must share it with your followers. Let them bring their vision, their views on board as to what you intend implementing. If you don't bring them on board and you take the decision all alone, yes, you bring it on board and they look at you and say, boss, we should do this. You all follow. Whether it's going to end well or not, it's up to the boss to decide. So at the end of it, he may end up failing in his vision. Thank you.
Allow Assistant Headmaster to add his voice.
Thank you, Prof. I think there are leaders who don't have visions at all. And if you don't have a vision, you don't know where you're going. And just as a leader not knowing where he's going, the followers may also end up somewhere else. So without a clear vision, I don't think you can succeed. Thank you.
Can we appreciate? Can we appreciate? Yes.
Some leaders are also not ready to listen to advice, especially from their followers.
Yeah, I will second what she was saying. Some leaders become autocratic to the extent that whatever they say is final. They don't listen to advice. When you advise them, they tend to say, I know more than you. So that one too collapse everything that they do. Thank you.
From what Doc said, when you know your followers, that should tell you how to direct them.
You can't direct ships like you can't direct goats. If you know those dynamics, it makes it more easier to be successful. But if you close a blind eye on their behaviors, you end up. If your followers can make you lose, you're like football. If I don't like what happened in Man United, they didn't like the coach, so they made sure they stopped behind the coach. So if you don't listen to our followers, they can make you fail. Yeah, thank you.
Add my voice to the brother. Some of the leaders are autocratic. They don't listen. They don't take advice from their followers. So they will definitely fail their leadership. Yeah.
With leading experience, most of the failure or what causes the failure, I will derive it from the statement Dr. made, that when a leader lacks integrity problem or integrity, the people also lack commitment to the leader. So when the leader is able to build that integrity, then there will be committed members or committed followers to make success come. But if the integrity is not there, then definitely the leader will fail. So we have to work on ourselves first. So it should be rather centered on us. No, you definitely succeed. But when you look or you turn a blind eye to yourself and you are rather focusing on the people, finding their faults and trying to invest into them, not yourself, it can also cause you to fail. That is my share.
Reverend Dan, you want to say something quickly? Let's go back to Reverend Dan.
Actually, what I was going to say is what he's saying. Nowadays, I will take the men of God as an example. Nowadays, when you look at men of God, when they make it in a certain stage, they don't, go back to their followers. Talking about associate pastors and other people. They all want to, take all the success. That is why I always say that there has been a numerous churches around. Because when the junior pastor sees that our leader is taking much and he's not giving us, then I'm also a pastor. I got to go and do my own. So you see that the next 1 month, the next 2 months, you see that associate pastor also at a certain place, finding his way out. To believe that we will help our followers and take them to a different level. Thank you.
Who again, the last person, and we continue. The last person. Okay, sir. Assistant headmaster.
Yeah, thank you. I think I'll blend two things. The vision itself should be known to all members of the group, as Doctor said, so that from the word go, everybody knows, and it becomes a target, and we are all working towards it. And then the leaders themselves, you also work on themselves, especially with issues of integrity. And once that is done, there's going to be the needed trust, so that whatever you say, they know that yes, we're doing this, and it will take us to the promised land. So definitely it will fall in place, and success will be achieved. Thank you.
Oh, can we appreciate him? Can we appreciate him? Amen. Wow, we thank God. This is a leadership class, so it needs to be active. We need to. Who? Yes. Ask Doctor. The last question, and we go.
Please, do you choose to be a leader, or it comes by itself?
What we usually hear is, are leaders born or made? It's a question I've started dismissing. They are both born and made. But do you choose to be a leader or not? I will say you choose to, because I believe that everybody can make a leader. But deliberately, some people don't want to. We don't have the time for me to give examples from religious background to corporate institutions and whatnot. So yes, some people may choose not to. But once you accept the responsibility that you can, leadership is a skill. Now, anything that is a skill can be learnt. Normally, we have 4 stages of skill acquisition on leadership. The first one is what we call unconscious incompetence. You are not, after you start getting leadership lectures and exposure and reading leadership, then you get to what we call conscious incompetence. You are not a leader still, but now you are aware that there's a leadership skill out there. There's a need to be a leader, except you are not yet. Then we come to what we call conscious competence. You start acquiring the skill and exhibiting leadership, the confidence, the casting of vision, the inspiring of others and all of that. Then naturally you get to the 4th level we call unconscious competence. Now everything about you are a leader, it flows out naturally without even you being conscious of it. Hitherto, you saw a staff coming to work late and then you're like, my friend, you're on suspension, go back home, why are you late? Now you're like, why are you late? Because leaders will always ask questions to receive answers. If it doesn't make sense, they punish. If it makes sense, you move on. So now you engage rather than just take a decision on your own and act. So that is how it is. It is a skill. Everybody can acquire it. So I would say you choose to become a leader. You may not become by default. Sometimes